Let's talk about Music City. What do you think?
Well, it's certainly changed a great deal.
Certainly has. Certainly has. Do you? Let's start. I guess I just recently did an article on how Music City got its name.
Uh-huh,
I did, lots of little rumors, I guess you'd call them, that attribute Queen Victoria with, yeah, after she saw the Fifth
uh-huh.
Jubilee singers saying, "Oh, you must come from the Music City." Do you agree that that was the start? Some
No,
people,
that's a nice story, and that's certainly what Fisk and the and the Fish Jubilee Singers want. What happened in 1950? Red Foley had a network television, I mean, network radio show on NBC Network. WSM was linked with NBC, and a guy named David Cobb, who's an announcer to the station, just sort of said, "Ladies and gentlemen from Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, USA, the Red Foley Show," or something along those lines. And
okay.
Jack Stapp, who was the program director, called him in his office and said, "That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. Keep saying it. So, make it till you fake it till you make it."
I saw an interview with Dr. Paul Kwame, who
Mhm.
didn't agree with that either. He
Oh, yeah.
actually credited DJ David Cobb. Uh, what pivotal things do you think happened in the music industry that allowed for Nashville to be such a music mecca and have such success?
There's a couple of things. The fact that the union let in country musicians so they could play on the network. The fact that, 1945, there wasn't a single record label or recording studio in Nashville. And a guy named Jim Boulay starts the first record label, Bullet Records, that
Okay.
has the first big million seller coming out of Nashville. And uh, three WSM engineers start Castle Recording Studio. And that's
Okay.
going to lead Paul Cohen and Ernest Tubb to be recording in Nashville.
Okay.
Owen Bradley always said if Ernest Tubb hadn't have said yes, it wouldn't have happened. That opened the doors,
Okay.
like Bob Dylan opened the doors for the rockers to come to Nashville. That opened doors. That was in 1947.
Okay.
And you know, the Opry going on the network, and then staying. Chicago was the big center for country music through World War II, but
Okay.
they lost their sponsor. WSM didn't. WSM stuck with the Opry. I should say National Life and Accidents stuck with the Opry
Right,
because
right,
they could sell insurance.
right. Yeah, I just recently learned that the WSM was We Shield Millions.
Hmm.
That's what that stood for. It's
Yeah.
funny that you mention Bob Dylan. I've been doing a lot of research on him. I
Hmm.
have an older brother who, as he says, knows an embarrassing amount about Bob Dylan.
Hmm.
So I asked him, why did Bob Dylan come here? I'm not really getting that. And he said, well, the crazy thing was that, he came here the first time, left his band behind, and wanted to get with, musicians on the fly in Nashville. And I guess this would be, Johnny Cash and the Nashville Cats. And
Hmm.
I think I read somewhere that the Nashville Cats, Bob Dylan was the first to actually put their names on an album. They were just kind of background musicians. um, Seems to be a theme even today that musicians in Nashville are very easily to recruit to play with your band. I know a couple of musicians in Nashville who play with multiple bands, and not now obviously because of the pandemic, but a couple of years ago it was nothing for them to be asked to fill in on
Hmm.
tour with somebody. So I'm just wondering, do you think that this is the musicians seem to have like kind of a subculture going on with each other? Do you think this always
Yeah, I mean,
existed?
yeah. There's a club of like-minded folks. It's a relatively small club, and there's a certain talent for being a studio musician that not every musician has. You've got to, you got to do what the producer says. If the producer says, okay, you play in D and you play in B flat, you just do it.
Right.
And you smile when you're doing it. At the end of the session, you say, great songs. There's a personality that goes along with the musical talent, because there's incredibly talented people. And, I
Oh,
remember
there are.
studio
Yes.
one time, one guy, he just kept arguing. I was producing a session. He kept arguing with me. And So finally I got through that session, and I never hired him again. I don't know who has hired him, but you've got to have that personality as well as the talent.